folks. Thank you all so much for joining our discussion this morning. As I said, this morning isn't going to be very long. I'm actually going to just take a little bit of time to highlight for you one of the main things that the PDP had in our mandate, our PDP mandate for the 2017 THA elections. And these lives are really going to highlight what some of these plans were back then. Of course, the idea is to keep refining those plans. The idea is to keep getting feedback from members of the public about those plans. And, let us know what you think. Let us know how you feel about them. Let us know how we can improve, because of course 2017 was a couple years ago and things have significantly changed since then. I see my mom said they're finished. Hi mom, thanks for tuning in. Thank you for tuning in. Yes, I was actually sitting here waiting for them, kind of listening to them in the background, waiting for them to be finished with their presentation. So as I said, the PDP in 2016, leading into the 2017 elections, created what we term the PDP Tobago mandate. And we use the term mandate instead of manifesto because we believe that this was a mandate given to the PDP by the people of Tobago. We have so it is not just us saying to ourselves, this is what we think the people of Tobago want. It is a reflection of what the communications that we've had, the consultations, and I don't like to use that word because in Trinidad and Tobago consultation is now almost a bad word because of how much it's been misused all over. But with the consultations that we've been having throughout the island with different people, we collectively came up with these ideas of what we can do differently or what we can do better than has been happening all the time. So let me just show you a little bit of what that book looked like. As it says, it's beautiful, really pretty art history, looking at, Tobago, looking at the different aspects of Tobago, and it says the mandate, A Better Tobago Through PDP THA Governance was what we titled it. Just really quickly letting you know that it actually is based on the 32 or 33 areas of the Tobago House of Assembly, the fifth schedule of the Tobago House of Assembly, which includes the health, social services, community development, tourism, and all of those things. So what we used was those areas that are the responsibility of the THA as listed in the Tobago House of Assembly Act under the fifth schedule. That is what we used to create this document. So that is how we structured the document. I will put a link, I forgot to put it before, I will put a link on where you can download this document because it is available for download online. As a matter of fact, if you search through my profile and you search PDP mandate, you would see it popping up. Of course, with Facebook, you have to put pictures. So there are pictures of every page there. But you can download the entire document from a link also that's available. And I would put that up. I am not sure why I didn't remember to put it up before, but it is what it is. All right, so the area that I want to focus on today is what is known as community development. Community development. And let me just read really quickly the first part of it, because I am focusing on community development. But one aspect of community development that is critical and that is a cornerstone of how the PDP thinks that we should utilize our funding in the THA is via community funding. So the mandate under community development very broadly is focus on funding, security, pride, and relationships. So that was the general focus of what we thought, based on discussions with different people, what community development means to us. But specifically, we wanted to focus on community funding, And let me read exactly what is written there, just in case the print is so tiny that you're unable to see the actual wording there. It says, change the budgetary policy to allow for standard budget allocations for every community. Community councils will be recreated and equipped to lead in the management of community projects. The funding will be housed in the division responsible for community development, but the governing rules will be established by the division with responsibility for finance. So what does that mean in real life? What does that mean in everyday language? We currently have a situation where in the Tobago House of Assembly, we elect our area representatives. We have 12 electoral districts, and each electoral district is represented by an assemblyman. You go out on election day and you vote for someone. Currently in the Tobago House of Assembly, we have 10 PNM representatives and 2 PDP representatives. What currently happens, though, within the Tobago House of Assembly is that none of those assemblymen have access to any funding for their community. So if, for example, you need your assemblyman to help you fix a drain, so let's say I'm in Bell Garden, I need a drain in Bell Garden fixed, and I go to, well, depending on which side of Bell Garden you go, I go to Mr. Duke, who is responsible for one part of Bell Garden, or I go to Mr. Spencer, who's responsible for the other part of Bell Garden. And I say, hey, Assemblyman, I need you to help me fix this drain that is causing havoc, blah, 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 blah. Neither of those assemblymen have access to any money where they can decide on the spot right there and then, hey, this drain really is an issue. The people I represent need this drain fixed. So let me go out and get this drain fixed. They can't do that. What they have to do is then write to the Secretary of Works and basically beg the Secretary of Works to say, please, sir, I have a drain in my electoral district that needs to be fixed. Can you please come and fix that drain? Can you send your workmen to come and fix that drain for me? And that is ridiculous. It is ridiculous in many instances. One, we have seen where, depending on even the personal relationship between the secretary with responsibility for that division and the area representative, some areas ain't getting nothing. You're getting salt just because you and them ain't good. We have seen that happen, whether you all like it or not. And we also have seen the situation where, because the winning party is PNM and the members of the opposition is PDP, nothing is happening in the PDP areas. We have seen that happen. So what the PDP is recommending is to give each area, each community, if we want to designate it by village, each village a specific amount of money that that village can then decide to use for whatever that village decides to use it for. So Bell Garden decides that it wants to fix that drain. The community council, and you'll notice we specifically did not put village council. We did not put village council because we know that these village councils have become arms of political parties. Let me not say arms of political parties. They've become arms of the PNM, some of them. some of them. So we specifically did not say village councils, but we want the villagers to create an entity that allows the villagers to govern themselves. So the Belgarden Community Council would get together and say, hey, you see that drain? That drain needs to be fixed. We would like to spend our Belgarden money on fixing that drain. Of course, this is going to be a discussion with members of the community to come to that kind of decision. And it would also be a collaboration with the area representative and the members of the community to come together to say, hey, this is a priority for us. Let us use our money to fix this issue. That way, the community then takes responsibility for developing itself. The community then takes responsibility for developing itself. So several people will ask, okay, how will you account for the money? Sure, that's a logical question and it's an important question. The PDP has never said that we are just going to hand over the money to the community council. No, the money will be allocated to each community. So the money sits within a special vote or whatever it is within the division with responsibility for community development. So the money sits there and it is disbursed as is needed, as according to the policies and the priorities of the community council. So of course, you're going to have to do really good accounting. You're going to have to ensure that the project is one that makes sense and that the project is one that is workable. The individuals who are within the division of ComDev or the division of works, and those people who are technical people. So the engineers, for example, the monitoring and evaluation officers, all of these technical people, the finance people within these divisions will then have a responsibility of overseeing where the money goes and ensuring that all of it doesn't go into the pocket of some random person in the community. So you would be using the technical people within the divisions to ensure that the money is used wisely, to ensure that there is no bubble, to ensure that, let's say we do put a drain, the drain is actually built using real structural engineering standards and that kind of thing. Those are the things that we have thought about. And that's when we say community funding, that is what we are talking about. And let's think about it. Let's just say minimum, we say within each village, we give each village $1 million. Now, that is just a number that I am throwing out. We give each village $1 million. There are over 42 villages, I think, depending on, some of the older people who have the discussions about some of these villages that are smaller and lumped together. And, there are those discussions that we will have to work out. Let's just say for a rough estimate, there are 40 villages in Tobago. That is $40 million every year that is designated to developing the various villages. $40 million. Now, let's just say, we always say, as these things start off, there are always hits and misses. So let's just say there was a miss. Half of them just stupidness with their money. So that is 20 villages that did stupidness with their money. For some reason, the monitoring and evaluation process didn't work, for some reason, whatever. And half of them did stupidness with their money. You still would have 20 villages who can say they actively worked on developing their village. And we can say definitively, $20 million in that fiscal year was spent on actual community development that is led by the communities. Why is that important? Because the PDP is putting people before politics. And remember, at the last election, we were saying child by child, family by family, village by village, because we want to develop Tobago holistically. We want all of Tobago to develop collectively and not have some areas develop while other areas don't develop. Now, the other thing that we had spoken about very clearly about this process was ensuring that we create wealth within each community. I tell people all the time that when I contest the election again in 2021, and I win that Goodwood Bell Garden seat, as long as the people want me there, one of my biggest prides, one of my biggest accomplishments would be to be able to say within Bell Garden Goodwood and that little part of Mount St. George that we have been able to build wealth within the communities. And it's because we would focus the wealth within the community. So what do I mean by that? These projects that the community councils would be responsible for. So let's just say Bell Garden. Bell Garden has the $1 million, or maybe 5 million, or maybe 10 million, how much ever we decide is going to be given to each community. Bell Garden takes that money and builds, let's just say we did not spend, 14 million on that community center? Yeah. Let's just say we did not spend the 14 million on that community center, and Bell Garden decides that we want to build a community center. We are going to take our $1 million or $5 million, and by the way, I have seen homes way bigger than that community center that ain't cost nowhere close to 13 million, $14 million. But anyway, I digress. Bell Garden decides we want to spend our money on creating a community center, creating a community hall, creating a place of excellence in Bell Garden. And because we are using locals, and when I say locals, I mean Bell Garden people. So the council would send out the RFP to Bell Garden and neighboring, so, Glamorgan, Kendall, but very close. The aim is to have the wealth remain in Bell Garden. So we send out the RFP saying we want to build this community center, this center of excellence, is whatever we want to call it. We are looking for contractors from Bell Garden. We are looking for workers from Bell Garden, and within the contracts, there must be clauses that says, if this is a Bell Garden Community Council project and Bell Garden Community Council money spending, then it have to have 80-90% of the workers must come from Bell Garden. Those are the kinds of things that we need to put in place. And yes, sure, we know that them fellas will be spending their time on the block and they're playing wappy and all of them things. But I also know that plenty of them fellas are spending their time on the block playing wappy, doing whatever they're doing, as some of the boss masons, as some of the boss plumbers, as some boss carpenters. So this is an opportunity. This is an opportunity to get them off of the block and to bring them into the community council project to use their skills for the development of Bell Garden. If we have, we also have a hardware. We have a hardware that is owned by Bell Garden, Bell Garden Richmond, but always Bell Garden people. So the materials for this community council can be sourced from the Bell Garden hardware. Again, leaving the wealth in the community. And that is what, I don't know if you all notice, our people of color tend to not do this, and we see other communities doing it, where they keep the money circling inside the money. So they ensure that within a family, within a community, they have the doctor, the dentist, the grocery, the restaurant, the everything. And all the money that makes it into that community stays in that community because they shop by them people. That is what we need to be doing in Tobago in these communities. So Belgan decides it wants to have the center of excellence. We ensure that we pick Belgarden people to do it. We ensure that we spend the money by the Belgarden hardware. We ensure that everything that we need, we're looking in Belgarden first. And then if we can't find it in Belgarden, we search outside to get it. That is the kind of holistic development that is necessary. Now, one of the other things that I would highlight here, even though it is not under this community development aspect of our mandate, is the fact that one of the things we had discussed and we had put in was that if for some reason we needed to do projects where we don't have the technical capacity on the island to do it, and we have to bring in a foreign company, for example, that foreign company must partner with a local entity to ensure that there is a sharing of knowledge, to ensure that there is knowledge transfer. So we're not giving that company all our money to take back to wherever they came from. Yes, they come in and they share their knowledge, they do what they have to do, but they are working with a local company who does the same thing or who is learning to do the same thing so that we are sharing. So when they leave, the next time we have to do that project, we don't need to call them again because we have a company or several companies in Tobago who can do it. Those are the kinds of policies that we would like to put in place. And we are just asking Tobagonians to please just give us a chance to do these things. That's all we are asking Tobagonians for, just to give us a chance to do these things. And let me give you a perfect example of how this does not happen currently. I remember getting a call from some of those guys in Delaford, Luedo. What is it called? The waterfall in Kings Bay waterfall. Some Delaford, Luedo, Kings Bay young fellas, some young fellas, when you watch them on the street, you say, he only up to trouble, them they only up to trouble. Those guys took their own monies, their own resources, and they refurbished the Kings Bay waterfall all by themselves. I got a call from one of them saying, Dr. Faith, come and see what we're doing. We want to show you what we're doing, blah, 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 blah. When I went up in there, I was blown away by the amount of work those guys did up there. Blown away. They did it by themselves. They took it upon themselves to refurbish the waterfall. Somehow, tourism heard of it. Tourism went in. Tourism said, oh, what a wonderful thing. You're doing a wonderful thing, blah, blah, blah. They did not at that time refurbish the bathroom, the washroom area. If you go up there, you know there's a little washroom area. They did not refurbish that just yet. They were working on actually refurbishing the waterfall itself and the environs. Tourism went in there, saw what they did, saw the fabulous work that they did. Tourism then took over the project, hired a contractor to do the washroom, paid the contractor close to $1 million. Close to $1 million to refurbish. Right? He didn't even build over the whole washroom. He refurbished the washroom. He changed the roof. He painted the wall. He put up a little. Listen, that contractor came from wherever that contractor came from. It was not Delaford, Luedo, Kingsby, any of that area. That contractor refused to even hire one of them fellas who spent their own money refurbishing that area, the waterfall. After all of that, that same contractor then confiscated, because those young guys had actually stored their tools and so forth in the same old bathroom. Confiscated their tools, and it's only after we get up and we make a hella noise and threaten to call police and all kind of thing that they realize that yes, oh my gosh, it's not ours, it's them own, and they brought it back for them. That contractor was given close to $1 million to do that, and those young men from the community who had already spent blood, sweat, and tears to refurbish that area, did not get a penny of that money. That to me is ridiculously unfair. We can't allow that to happen again. And I am sure, because the way those young guys were working all the time without money to get it done, they would have done that work and 10 times that work for $500,000. And they would have been happy to do it for $500,000. And believe me, $500,000 is a stretch. They would have done it. But no, the THA came in, gave whoever it is the contract. That person ran away, in essence, with the contract, did what they want, did their thing, and left. And now, of course, it is there, nothing again happening. Because, of course, the young guys who did blood, sweat, and tears, they got demotivated. And that is the kind of thing we can't allow to happen on this island. That is the kind of thing we can't allow to happen. When we are spending money in our communities, we should spend money within our communities. We should spend money within our communities. We can't allow this to happen again. Surely you are right. For a bathroom, where's the detailed expenditure? Who is that contractor? I don't even know the contractor's name. But I know the contractor is not from up there. And I know there was a big battle about it. It's ridiculous. It is absolutely ridiculous that is what actually happened in a situation like that. And that is why I go back to the community funding, ensuring that we have that budgetary allocation for each community so that that community can get together and decide for itself, this is where we want to spend our money. This is what we want to spend our money on. Yes, we get the technical assistance from the engineers at THE, from the monitoring and evaluation people, from whoever, all of those, the finance people, all of that, you get the technical assistance from the people within the THE, but it is the community that is taking ownership for the development of that community. Could you imagine what Castara would look like if Castara knew that Castara was getting $1 million every year from the government to develop? What Delaford would look like, what Belgarden would look like, what Plymouth would look like, if they knew every year they were going to get $1 million and they would decide what happens with that $1 million. Imagine the kind of real development that would happen on this island if we implemented that kind of policy. So I don't want to stay very long. I just wanted to highlight this one very critical part of providing funding for each community so that they can collectively decide for themselves, this is what we are going to do with our money, and then run with that, develop industries. Yesterday, Mr. Duke was in Castara talking to some of the fishermen, and one of the things they identified as fishermen for Castara is probably have a boat, a big fishing boat, the same way the THA was supposed to provide a boat for them Castara guys, and somehow the boat ended up leaving Castara and all kind of hoopla. One of the things they spoke about was having that big mother boat so that they can go out and they can do their thing. For 1 year, that could be the project that the community decides, this is what we are going to do. So 1 year deals with fishing. We know that every year it will do with, it will influence something else. It will influence something else. And that is what we want each community to be able to do. Dan Morgan said, Dr. Faith, I'm confused. Are you saying that the PDP wants to expand democracy to each community so that things like food cards, and I have to expand here, you are not seeing it on your side, so that things like food cards might require the input of the community council, for example? Exactly. So yes, in a situation like that where we currently have COVID and we currently have people who are in dire need, this year the communities may decide to use their monies for things like food cards and that kind of stuff. Ideally, I am seeing further down I am saying much further down, where if we do this and if we do this correctly, we should have enough people within the communities who are wealthy, where the government does not have to provide food cards. And I have been saying it from the beginning. The vast number of people who need to apply for these social support grants is an indication that the programs that we have been using before, whether they are social support or wealth generating programs, have not worked. Too many people are living paycheck to paycheck to paycheck in this country, and that proves that we have not been distributing the wealth equitably in this country, which means a little thing, any little thing happens, and we are seeing COVID is a big thing, but COVID is also highlighting all of the little things that are the inequalities of the island. We would not have to wait for the government to give food cards. The communities would be able to give food cards themselves to the people who absolutely need it. Because we had spent the time building wealth within the community, we can then say, even as the area representative, for example, you could say, hey, Mr. So, you have been the contractor for the last 2-3 years, whatever, you have been benefiting from the THA. It is now your corporate responsibility to provide 100 food cards or whatever for the community. And because they have been building wealth, it would be no issue for them to do that because they've been building wealth. It is expanding that block of wealth. It is ensuring that our communities develop based on the priorities of the community. It is ensuring that when decisions are made, it is made with the community, and that the community takes ownership for that kind of development. Stefan said the PDP already win in Tobago. Well, I would like to believe so, but I also know that in politics, a day is like a year in politics. So we still have to do the work. For PDP to win, we need everybody who is, one, dissatisfied with what has happened to go out and vote for the PDP. And two, those who would like to see these plans actually materialize to go out and vote for the PDP on election day, whenever that is. These are the kinds of plans that we have within our mandate to help Tobago develop. So guys, as I said, I didn't want to be too long. I just wanted to highlight one thing. I think every week or every other day, every couple of days, I will come on and I would highlight one little thing about our mandate from 2017 to get feedback, so that you are aware that this is what we were talking about that back then. Because I know back then, everybody was so up in arms about, oh my gosh, Watson Duke bring out a political party, the Watson Duke party, blah, 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 blah. A lot of people did not have time to listen to what we were offering. So this is an opportunity in our downtime to listen a little bit to what the PDP is offering the people of Tobago, to what the PDP is offering Trinidad and Tobago, because the reality is, if Tobago flourishes, Trinidad and Tobago flourishes. Okay, so again, thank you guys so much for tuning in. Please share the live to others who may have missed it. Now, share the live. Thank you all so much. If you have any questions, you can message me privately. If you have any concerns, you can type them in the live. I will continue going back to the comments to see what is in the comments. And if you have suggestions of how we can build Tobago, then please let me know, because as I said, this is a mandate. A mandate means it came from you, and we are just executing what you have asked us to execute. It means we are just executing what you've asked us to execute. What in your mind is what Tobago needs to do to develop. So again, thank you all so much for tuning in. Share the live, and have a blessed and fruitful and wonderful and safe Wednesday and the rest of the week. All right, my dears. See you. Bye.